Ever wondered how Halloween, the night of spooky costumes and sugar highs, came to be? Let's dive into its mysterious origins, tracing back thousands of years. Now picture this. It's about 2,000 years ago, and you're in ancient Celtic lands. The chill of October 31st marks not just the end of summer, but the end of the year. The Celts, who lived in what is now Ireland, the United Kingdom and northern France, believed that on this night, the boundary between the living and the dead blurred. Welcome to Samhain, their festival that honored this eerie time. During Samhain, the Celts lit massive bonfires and wore costumes, typically made from animal skins, to ward off roaming spirits. They thought that ghosts of the dead returned to Earth, causing trouble and damaging crops. To appease these spirits, they left food and drink outside their homes. Sounds familiar? Yep, that's where some of our Halloween customs originate. Fast forward to the Roman Empire. By the time the Romans had conquered Celtic territories, two Roman festivals merged with Samhain. Feralia, a day in late October to commemorate the passing of the dead, and Pomona, the goddess of fruit and trees. Pomona's symbol was the apple, and it's believed this is how the tradition of bobbing for apples began. As Christianity spread, the church sought to replace pagan festivals with their own. In the 7th century, Pope Boniface IV established All Saints' Day, also known as All Hallows' Day, on November 1st. The night before, October 31st, was All Hallows' Eve, which, over time, morphed into Halloween. Now let's hop across the pond to colonial America. Halloween wasn't initially celebrated by the rigid Puritans of New England, but as the different European ethnic groups meshed and Native American influences were added, a distinctly American version of Halloween began to emerge. Public events to celebrate the harvest, telling ghost stories and causing mischief became common. By the mid-19th century, the flood of Irish immigrants fleeing the potato famine brought the traditions of dressing up in costumes and going door to door, asking for food or money, a practice that evolved into today's trick-or-treat. The transformation of Halloween into a national, community-centered holiday happened in the early 20th century. Parties focused on games, seasonal foods, and festive costumes became the norm. The holiday lost most of its superstitious and religious overtones, becoming a secular celebration. So there you have it, folks. From ancient Celtic rituals to modern-day festivities, Halloween's history is as rich and layered as the costumes we wear. The next time you carve a jack-o'-lantern or hand out candy, remember you're part of a tradition that spans millennia. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more fascinating historical insights. Catch you in the next video. What if I told you that deep within the frozen wilderness lurks a creature born from hunger, an insatiable, unholy hunger, a being that was once human, but through greed, desperation, or something far more sinister, transformed into an abomination that craves human flesh? This is the legend of the Wendigo, a tale of curses, madness, and the dark price of survival. Welcome to Legends Reimagined, where we revive the greatest stories from history, mythology, and literature with the power of AI. Today we unravel the chilling myth of the Wendigo, the nightmare that walks the winter forests. Long before European settlers arrived in North America, the indigenous tribes of the Great Lakes, the Algonquin, Cree, and Ojibwe, told stories of a horrifying entity, one that roamed the frozen forests, whispering with the wind, waiting for its next victim. The Wendigo was not a mere beast. It was a curse, a fate worse than death. It was said that when a person consumed the flesh of another in an act of desperation, perhaps stranded in the bitter cold of winter, starving with no other choice, they would not simply survive. They would change. Their soul would rot, their body would stretch, and their heart would turn to ice. The first signs were subtle: an insatiable hunger, an unnatural strength, a growing detachment from the warmth of humanity. Then, their skin would tighten over elongated bones, their lips would wither, their eyes would sink deep into their sockets, and when the transformation was complete, nothing remained of the person they once were. Only the Wendigo. The Wendigo is no ordinary predator. It does not hunt as wolves do, nor stalk its prey like a bear. No, the Wendigo waits, it whispers, it lures. They say it speaks in the voices of lost loved ones, calling travelers deeper into the woods. It moves with unnatural speed, its gaunt body somehow faster than any living creature should be. And worst of all, it is never full. No matter how many it devours, its hunger only grows. Its body stretches as it feeds, its ribs always visible beneath its rotting flesh, a grotesque mockery of starvation. Those who encounter the Wendigo do not live to tell the tale, but there are some, the elders say, who are not devoured immediately. Some who hear the voice of the creature in their dreams calling them, some who wake up with a hunger they cannot understand. This is how the curse spreads. For centuries, warriors and shamans have tried to banish the Wendigo from the land. Legends tell of rituals, fire, and sacred incantations meant to purify the corrupted soul of the creature. Some say only fire can truly kill a Wendigo, for its frozen heart cannot be pierced by mere weapons. Others believe that no force in this world can destroy it, that it is a spirit of hunger itself, doomed to wander the world until the end of time. But perhaps the most terrifying truth is this: the Wendigo is not just a story. To this day, in the remote wilderness of Canada and the northern United States, there are whispers of strange disappearances, hikers who vanish without a trace, hunters who find footprints too large, too thin, too unnatural to belong to any animal known to man. And in the dead of winter, when the wind howls through the trees, some say you can still hear it. The whispers, the call, the hunger. So, is the Wendigo just a myth? Or is there something more to the legend? Some believe it is a warning, a tale passed down to keep people from committing the ultimate taboo, to remind us that some lines once crossed can never be undone. But others, they are not so sure. Perhaps somewhere in the endless forests, something still waits. A creature as old as time, as cold as winter itself. A hunger that can never be satisfied. Tell me, would you dare venture into the woods alone? If you enjoyed this journey into myth and legend, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. And stay tuned, because the next legend we reimagine will be even more terrifying. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep reimagining the legends of the past. Who's Davy Jones? Some say he's just a myth, a ghastly specter haunting the seas. Others swear he was flesh and blood, a pirate whose very name struck terror into the hearts of sailors. Today, I'm diving deep into the legend of Davy Jones, the pirate who terrified the seven seas. Let's kick things off with the most bone-chilling part of the story, Davy Jones' locker. Ever wondered why sailors feared being sent there? It wasn't just a watery grave. They believed it was a cursed abyss where the worst souls were trapped for eternity. Sounds like something straight out of a nightmare, right? Well, the reality might be even more spine-tingling. Now, legends often have a kernel of truth, and Davy Jones is no exception. Some historians believe he was an actual pirate during the golden age of piracy in the 17th and 18th centuries. According to one theory, the name Davy Jones could be derived from Duffer Jones, a notoriously clumsy sailor who ended up becoming a pirate. But hold on, that's just one version. Another tale suggests he was a fearsome pirate captain who made a pact with the devil himself. In exchange for his soul, he gained supernatural powers, making him invincible on the high seas. Imagine facing a captain who couldn't be killed. No wonder sailors would rather face a hurricane than cross paths with him. But here's a twist. Davy Jones might also be a mix of various seafaring superstitions and real-life terror. Stories of ghost ships and cursed mariners have been fodder for sailors' yarns for centuries. Combine these with the brutal reality of piracy, where betrayal, mutiny, and murder were the order of the day, and you get a figure as terrifying as Davy Jones. Legend has it, Davy Jones's ship was cursed, forever doomed to sail the seas as a ghostly vessel. His crew, trapped in a state between life and death, were bound to serve him for eternity. Some say his locker is located in the deepest part of the ocean, the Mariana Trench. Others believe it's a mystical realm, accessible only through a portal hidden in the Bermuda Triangle. These tales served a purpose. They were cautionary stories to keep sailors in line and remind them of the perils that awaited them if they strayed. Now, Hollywood has had its fun with Davy Jones, giving us a tentacle-faced villain in the Pirates of the Caribbean series. But the real Davy Jones, or at least the legend, is far more complex and chilling. It's a blend of historical fact, sailor's lore, and the human fear of the unknown. So the next time you're by the sea, and you hear a whisper in the wind or catch a fleeting shadow on the horizon, remember the tales of Davy Jones. Maybe he's just a myth, or maybe, just maybe, he's still out there, waiting to claim more souls for his dreaded locker. If you enjoyed this dive into the murky waters of pirate lore, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories from history. Until next time, keep your wits about you and steer clear of the open sea. Davy Jones might be watching. What if I told you there's a ship out there, one that no storm can sink and no port can hold? Join us as we uncover the chilling legend of the Flying Dutchman. They say this ghostly ship haunts the seas, appearing without warning and disappearing into mist, leaving sailors with a spine-chilling sense of dread. Some claim it's a bad omen, a harbinger of storms and disaster. But what curse binds this ship to the ocean for eternity? This isn't just any ghost story. It's one of the most famous maritime legends ever. Today, we'll explore the origins of this infamous legend, how a captain's unbreakable will and a defiant curse set the Flying Dutchman on a doomed course. So, batten down the hatches and brace yourself as we dive into the mystery of the Flying Dutchman, a tale that has survived centuries and still sends shivers down the spines of those who dare to listen. So where did it all begin? The origins of the Flying Dutchman date back to the 17th century, during the golden age of exploration. The story tells of a Dutch East India Company ship, captained by the bold and perhaps foolhardy Captain Hendrik van der Decken. Some say he was a brilliant navigator, others claim he was mad. One stormy night, as the ship attempted to round the treacherous Cape of Good Hope, the crew begged the captain to turn back. But Captain van der Decken, stubborn and defiant, swore he'd sail on, even if it took him until Judgment Day. And that's where the trouble began. Legend has it, the ship was cursed that very night, condemned to sail the oceans forever, never able to make port, and never finding peace. The Flying Dutchman's crew is no ordinary band of sailors. They are the undead, cursed to wander the seas for eternity. With hollow eyes and ghostly faces, they are trapped in a nightmarish limbo, forever bound to their doomed vessel. Some say they're skeletons draped in tattered uniforms. Others say they appear as shadows, flickering in the ghostly light of the ship's torn sails. They can never rest, can never return home, and are forced to obey the unbreakable curse placed upon their captain. Eyewitness reports of the Flying Dutchman have been recorded for centuries. One famous sighting was by King George V of England in 1881, when he was still a prince. He and his crew described seeing a phantom ship glowing with an unearthly light. But what could be the reason behind these sightings? Some believe it's a mirage caused by the refraction of light over the ocean. Others think it's a psychological phenomenon, maybe a figment of the imagination of sailors who spent too long at sea. Yet, the legend persists. In literature, the Flying Dutchman has been immortalized in works by Washington Irving and Sir Walter Scott. In pop culture, it's even made appearances in movies like Pirates of the Caribbean. But the big question remains, is there any truth to the legend? Well, that's something we'll never know for sure. But one thing's clear. The story of the Flying Dutchman captures our imagination and taps into our deepest fears of the unknown. So, next time you're out at sea and the fog rolls in, keep an eye out. You might just catch a glimpse of the ghostly ship and its doomed crew. Thanks for watching, mates. If you enjoyed this deep dive into maritime mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more eerie tales from history. Catch you in the next video. When you think of Christmas, what comes to mind? Cozy fireplaces, festive lights, cheerful carols, and Santa Claus, the jolly old man who brings gifts to children around the world. But what if I told you there's a darker side to this holiday legend? A creature so terrifying that it makes the Grinch look like a warm hug. This is the story of Krampus, the dark shadow of Santa Claus, and his chilling role in Christmas folklore. Welcome to Legends Reimagined, where we revive tales from history, mythology, and literature with a twist. Let's dive into the legend of Krampus. Our journey begins in the snow-covered mountains of Central Europe, centuries ago, where winter nights were long and unforgiving. In these remote villages, stories of Krampus were born. A horned, monstrous figure, half goat and half demon, with sharp claws, glowing eyes, and a long, lashing tongue. But Krampus wasn't just a nightmare to scare children. He was a key figure in the holiday season. To understand him, we must first understand his counterpart, Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas, or Sinterklaas, was celebrated as a bringer of gifts and a protector of children. On December 6th, known as Saint Nicholas Day, he would visit homes, rewarding good children with sweets and small gifts. But what about the naughty ones? That's where Krampus came in. While Saint Nicholas embodied kindness and generosity, Krampus represented punishment and fear, a perfect balance of light and dark. On the night of December 5th, known as Krampusnacht, the villagers believed Krampus would roam the streets. Clad in chains and bells, he'd stalk misbehaving children, wielding birch branches to whip them as a warning. For the truly wicked, the punishment was far worse. Krampus was said to carry a large sack or basket, where he'd stuff the naughtiest children and drag them away, either to his lair or, in some versions, straight to the underworld. Imagine hearing those chains and bells rattling outside your window on a cold, dark night. Would you dare misbehave? But where did this fearsome figure come from? Krampus predates Christianity, rooted in ancient pagan traditions. Many scholars trace his origins to Norse mythology, where he bears similarities to Hel, the goddess of death, and to Alpine folklore, where horned spirits were believed to roam the forests. His name itself comes from the German word Krampen, meaning claw, a nod to his fearsome appearance. When Christianity spread through Europe, it didn't erase these pagan beliefs. Instead, it merged with them, creating a duality between St. Nicholas and Krampus, reward and punishment, salvation and damnation. During the Middle Ages, Krampus was an integral part of holiday celebrations in the Alpine regions of Austria, Germany, and Slovenia. Men would dress as Krampus, donning grotesque masks and hairy costumes, and parade through villages, rattling chains and scaring children into good behavior. These events were both thrilling and terrifying, blending fear, tradition, and revelry in equal measure. It wasn't just about punishment, it was about ensuring the balance of the holiday season. As time went on, the legend of Krampus faced resistance. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, the Catholic Church and some governments condemned Krampus as a demonic figure, banning his celebrations in certain areas. But Krampus was not so easily erased. In the late 20th century, his story saw a resurgence, thanks to a renewed interest in folklore and the darker aspects of traditional holidays. Today, Krampus parades, known as Krampuslaufer, are popular in parts of Europe, and his chilling visage has even made its way into pop culture, appearing in movies, books, and even Christmas cards. So why does Krampus still resonate with us? Perhaps it's because he represents something primal, a reminder that even during the most joyous season, we can't ignore the darker aspects of life. Or maybe it's the thrill of a story that blends fear with festivity. Whatever the reason, Krampus is no longer confined to Alpine villages. He's become a global phenomenon, a dark counterpart to the jolly St. Nicholas we all know and love. The legend of Krampus challenges us to see Christmas in a new light, not just as a time of joy, but as a time of balance. Because after all, what is light without shadow? This has been Legends Reimagined, where we uncover the hidden depths of history, mythology, and literature. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What other legends would you like to see revived next? Until then, beware the bells and chains on a cold December night. Krampus might just be lurking nearby.